Today our cruise docks in Newport, Rhode Island, and I'm going to show you how we get to downtown Newport, what we do once we get to Newport, and what I might do differently if I get to go back to Newport. Today we're tendered outside of Newport, Rhode Island. Let's see what the view is from my portside balcony. It's a little breezy today. The wind is making the water just a little choppy. There is Fort Adams in the distance. We will see that again a little later on our tour today. From the sun deck, let's look on the starboard side. One of the lifeboats has already been released this morning to become a water shuttle. This is a tender port, which means we are not docked. Instead, we are anchored with beautiful sea views all around. This is the Newport Bridge, or to be more exact, the Claiborne-Pell Newport Bridge, named after a U.S. Senator. Princess has 3 water shuttles ready to make our tendering process go as quickly as possible, and each shuttle has a crew on board assisting guests as they enter and exit. We booked an independent shore excursion for today with Viking Tours of Newport for their Newport Scenic Trolley Tour at 10 a.m. Our daily newsletter gives us helpful information about this port. It reminds us when we are scheduled to arrive, 7 a.m., and we will follow the directions for those who are going on shore independently. The Princess event listings for today tells us to come to the Explorers Lounge to pick up our tickets for the water shuttle. Now, they used to always call these tender tickets. I don't know when they changed the terminology, but water shuttle really does explain what you're doing, so I guess they wanted to make it a little bit clearer. Other directions are given for people who purchased the ship's shore excursions. There is some additional information given. They recommend those who are going ashore early to get tickets for the shuttle early, as they expected wait times to be longer around 9 a.m. So we were in a bit of a quandary. We didn't have a tour until 10, and we knew that tenders might get really busy around 9. And we had an issue, remember when we went to Norway, where our tender was delayed and it made it to the point that we even missed our tour, and we didn't want that to happen today in Newport. So we went to the Explorers Lounge to get our tickets, as they said, about 8:25, so we would have a little extra time. We thought if we were in port a little too early, we would just wander around until our tour was ready to go. They called our tender number almost immediately. We went down to the loading area and boarded the tender. It was getting pretty crowded, and they do pack them pretty full. Since it was windy and cool, I wanted to stay downstairs rather than the open upper deck, and found a spot. The ride took us about 15 minutes once we left the ship. The water shuttle lets us out right in town. Visitors walk under a canopy and between a little visitor kiosk on the right and a food truck on the left. I picked up this tourist map, and I think I figured out that we were dropped off here, and this parking lot is where the tourist booth and food trucks were. When I walk forward from here, I run directly into the America's Cup Avenue and turn left. The directions for our tour tell us that the meeting location is at the Newport Visitor Center adjacent to the Newport Marriott Hotel. We follow the crowd and soon see a sign to the Newport Transportation Center. That's what our directions should have said, but at least we had the address already listed, so we were able to look on our GPS just to confirm things. We see a sign for the free 67 trolley, and almost everyone walks up to this little white trolley to see if it's the free one. Nope. These 2 white trolleys are the Newport Travel Trolley Tours, and those require tickets. Anyone showing up there are told that their tours are already sold out for the day. The free trolley actually meets over there, and it is a bus rather than a trolley. A little confusing, don't you think? And there is a line. From another angle, you can see the people who missed the last one and are standing in line for the next one. Number 3 has a red sign under it for Viking Trolley Tours. Before our tour was scheduled to depart, we had a little time to walk around, going over to Goat Island, taking in more views of the Newport Bridge, and finding a bench to enjoy relaxing by the harbor while catching up on our emails and familiarizing myself with the tourist map. When it was time to board the trolley, we met our driver guide, and he explained all about the history of Newport as we drove through town, and we caught glimpses of our ship as we drove along the harbor. And though the sign says there are tours at Fort Adams, this was only a drive-by and not a stop at the fort. Our trolley took us by the U.S. Coast Guard station at Castle Hill. We made a stop here at Benton Point State Park to view the scenery from the thick green grass and blooming shrubs to the rocky coastline, and admired the monuments to several Portuguese explorers. The monument says, "In memory of the navigators, map makers, explorers, fleet commanders, and those others who enabled the discoveries of sea routes by the Portuguese of 2/3 of the world." We drove by mansion after mansion. Some people purchased optional add-on tickets to the tour at the breakers, and our driver dropped them off here with a promise to pick them up a little later. Back in town, we drove by St. Mary's Church and were given the option to be dropped off in town or taken back to our starting point. We opted to walk around a little and do some window shopping and take advantage of a photo op with all the fall colors. Soon it was time to board the water shuttle and head back to our ship. If I get the opportunity to return to Newport, I think I would probably just be content with walking around. The downtown historic area has a museum, several really neat buildings, lovely shops, and there's a coastal walk right along all of the mansions, and you can tour some of the other mansions from that vantage point as well. And I heard that that was a beautiful tour, so I think I would probably like to do that next time. This is Shirley with Shirley's Journeys, and I hope all of your journeys are pleasant ones.